Brooke Schubert is an artist from Queensland who has been performing most of her life and releasing music since 2013. She now has a debut album, The Fantastic After Midnight, and I'm going to ask her all about it. Hello, Brooke.
Hi, how are you going, Sophie? Thank you so much for having me again. I really, really appreciate it.
It's great to be able to talk to you about this album, which I love your voice so much, but there's also great variety in the songs. And so I'm interested in when there's great variety and it's also identifiably you, if that makes sense. So there's different moods on the album, but your voice is this through line that we have. So I'm wondering if you had a vision for the shape of the album when you started to put it together.
The shape of it was just me. And I think with so many different influences in my life, like with my mum listening to country and growing up and, from Gympie and touring with the Webb Brothers and at the First Muster, and my dad listening to so much, Def Leppard and Led Zeppelin and, Deep Purple, I feel like it was always going to come out somehow. It's like a cross patch of genres, and I'm like a little country needle and thread to keep everything together. So the whole point of the album was just to sound like myself because there's no other, me, and there's no other you. And so it was really, really important to lean into that. And I'm so pleased I did because thanks you so much for your compliment because, I'm really, really proud of how it all came out and it does just sound like me.
Yeah, there are different musical influences on there. I think the ones you've just named in particular, and all of the songs do sound very much like they're connecting directly with us. And I know you've been releasing a few singles over the last little while, so I'm interested in what the first song was that was written for it.
Oh my gosh, the first song written for it was Ain't Her Valentine. And actually, I put it on YouTube and Facebook, first of all, 10 years ago.
Oh, right.
Um, and so it's been a really long, and I feel like with a debut album, it's always like a life collection of work, right? Because it's the first one. And so I was really, really excited to get that one out because I've been playing it live for 10 years and it sort of became this thing online that everyone who came to my gigs would always ask for it. So it was sort of nice to have that sort of familiarity for a lot of listeners as well. And there was a lot of people saying, "Well, thank God, took you long enough." So it was nice to have it actually, on record. And so that was, it's been at least 10 years in the making.
Because that is your latest single, actually, Ain't Her Valentine. So I'll ask you the story behind it. I think it might have been something to do with you and a group of friends.
Absolutely. So I'm from Central Queensland, and it's a super small town and a bit of a FIFO situation up there now. But back in the day, it wasn't. And so I would be playing at the same pub. Literally, I played there nearly every weekend for 20 years at the same pub. And so my girlfriends would come and see me play all the time. And it sort of became this running joke that they'd be finding Mr. Right now, not Mr. Right, because it was Slim Pickens in town. So it's so funny because I met my husband at the pub, and so you can find love at the pub. I feel like that's the takeaway from this. And but it's so crazy, and I've got their blessings. Of course, I got the blessings from my girlfriends, and I'm not incriminating anyone. Like we're all good. But I just love this song. It's so much fun, and it sort of sounds like a bar room as well. So yeah, big fan.
So you played there every weekend for 20 years. You must have seen a lot, seen a lot in that time and seen a lot of stories as well.
I feel like I could write a coffee table book about all of the things that I've seen. But you know what? I feel like it's every musician who has really cut their teeth and, done it there is no right or wrong way. It's just one of the ways. And I'm so thankful that I did that because now I know how to handle myself in all situations. I've had to defend myself. I've had to hide behind a guitar case during barroom brawls. I have a great left hook. But I'm also really good at talking people out of situations. I'm a great negotiator. And I think the trick is, when everyone's at that time of night, you just treat them like toddlers and we're fine. So it's been, but those skills now moving forward are so important to have because now I know how to talk to people. So yeah, it was actually a really important part of my learning and my development as an artist.
And musically speaking, because obviously you have to have material to play
Yeah.
that many weekends in a row, you probably had people who were coming back every week who probably wanted new songs. Did you find that your musical tastes were changing as you were performing certain songs? Like maybe there was a genre or even an artist whose songs you were covering that you wouldn't have thought of before, but you had to because of the gigs.
Yeah, and it was funny because I feel like Moranbah's a funny place. There's like a lot of people coming in from cities, and then you've got a lot of people coming from country as well. So there's a lot of Brooks and Dunn, but then turning around, I'd be singing like Nicki Minaj and some Beyonce, and then doing Slim Dusty, and diving into like Matchbox 20 and Live and Creed. But the funny thing is that I just gravitate towards all of it because usually the storytelling is still there, especially with the rock stuff. I'm a massive fan of like 90s and 2000s rock, and obviously John Farnham as well. I'm one of his biggest fans, and so all of that, just adds up to my sound, I think, as well. But it was I'm a bit of a musical jukebox though, Sophie, I have to be honest. And I'm really good at I remember melodies. I can't remember that I put the washing on 2 hours ago, but I'll remember a melody that I've heard once from a song that came out in 1964. So if I can have the words in front of me, I was always good. So it's a bit of a skill that I have, and I'm trying to work on the rest of my brain for the other life stuff. But
no, honestly, I think if you have that particular skill, who cares if you can't remember if the washing machine's on? I mean, that's a really amazing skill to have. Someone else can put the washing machine on.
Well, my husband has been amazing all week while I've been at the muster, so props to him, and thank goodness for him, actually.
Oh, actually, yes, that's right. At the time we're speaking, Gympie Muster has just happened. So how was your muster?
Incredible. It was really serendipitous sort of moment. The muster was the first place I ever sung on stage when I was 10 years old, and so to come back and sing my album in its entirety during 2 performances was just incredible, and it was such a warm feeling. And I the main thing to me is that everyone, enjoyed themselves and were able to connect with the music, and that's exactly what happened. And the gigs were massive, and it was just the best time. So I'm looking forward to the muster next year. It's been 30 years since my first muster, and I've been every year since. So I'm excited for that one. So yeah, bring on 2026.
Yeah, I think it would be impossible to not have like this really tender sense with knowing that you performed there at 10 and then to be taking your album there. There must have been some moments where you're just like, oh my God, I can't imagine that this was going to happen, and now it has.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's even like, it's not even the festival itself, it's the driving in. It's driving through the forest and hearing the bellbirds and smelling the forest. And I'm really connected to out there. Like I said, my mum's from Gympie, and we spent a lot of time out there. My uncle's got a farm over the back at Mellawandi, and I went to Dagon State School for a little bit. So that area is really, really close to my heart. And it has quite an emotional feeling. I love going out to the muster site when there's no one around. That is one of my favourite things to do. And if anyone wants a good camping spot, go to Annamore Creek when there's no one there. The creeks are beautiful and the stars just insane. And yeah, it's a really, really special place in my heart.
So there's someone who I believe you have had a long relationship with, and that's Graeme Connors. And speaking of long relationships, that's my segue. Gympie Festival site, Graeme Connors. And Graeme wrote a song for you that's on this album. It's called What Next? It's a really beautiful song. So I'm wondering how that connection came about and how the song came about.
Yeah, so oh my gosh, Graham is obviously one of my favorite songwriters of all time. He's legendary, and that's the same for a lot of us artists. I feel like he really set the benchmark very early for all of us. He can paint a picture with words, and that's really becoming a lost art. I've known Graham since I was about 12 or 13. I think I first got up and sung with him. He's from Mackay, I'm from Warrnambool. We're 200 k's apart, and so it was. We were really able to identify early that he's one of the good guys, and he's got a whole heap of sons, and I'm the musical daughter. I was always going to him and Lynn with questions. I'd turn up at the door with a packet of ice Novos and a cup of tea ready to go, and so he's just been incredible over my whole career, and I'm so lucky to have his faith in what I do. And we've been meaning to write together for a really long time, but Graham tends to write really early in the morning. And Sophie, I'm not a morning person. I will see sunrise because I've been up, not because I'm getting up. So Graham, yeah, he was like, I'm sick of this. I'm going to write you a song. And he did. And it was so funny that he sent it to me in a text message. It was just, hey, I've written you something with a voice memo attached. And could you imagine getting a voice memo from Graeme, like the iconic Graeme Connors with just a piano and his voice? Obviously, I burst into tears at the thought of what I was listening to. And I connected to the lyric one way, and then, through a series of events that happened to some friends of mine and some really horrific tragedies, the song took on another meaning. But I think that's life though, right? I feel like we all connect to different songs in different ways depending on our experiences. And so, yeah, this song is so, so, so special to my heart. And I'm so thankful to have a Graeme Connors song in my catalogue. What? Crazy.
You do sing it in a bittersweet way. Now you've given me that context for what happened to friends, and because there is a hopefulness in it, but there
Mm.
is sad tone in your voice at times in it. So when you go in to record it, were you consciously trying to have a particular tone in it, or was it just the way it came out at the time?
Oh, honestly, I recorded the vocal a couple of days after I lost friends of mine in the Hunter Valley bus accident. And so my producer was saying, like, Jared was like, "Are you all good to do this?" And I'm like, "Of course, it's this song we have to record." And he's like, "No, we can postpone it." And I just said to him, "No, we can't, because we're lucky to be able to do this. I'm very thankful to be able to do this. And if this is one thing that we can do that is a positive, then that's what we need to do." Our hands were tied every other way. And it was, yeah, a really horrific time. And I'm sort of grateful that I was able to, to capture this song when I did, because everything I was saying, I really meant it. And yeah, it was a really, really, really tough time.
I'm very sorry to hear that, and I'm in Sydney, so we had that story here. And so for anyone who doesn't know, it was people after a wedding on a bus that was going from the wedding. There was speed involved and a terrible accident, and several people died. And that must have been such a shock, just the confluence of events going on there. So yeah, I don't. Oh, well, I do. I was going to say I don't know how you went to the studio, but I do, because that's what performers do. Actually, I imagine you go on stage in all sorts of circumstances when you don't feel well, when you've had something terrible happen, and art can often be the way to channel those feelings.
It's the power of it, and whether it's bringing, love and joy, or reflection, or anything like that's the whole point of, well, especially music for me. And it's the least that I could do was, dedicate this to my friends. So yeah, I was very, very lucky to be able to do this.
Hmm. And I think it's my next question is actually about the song "Stronger," which is possibly related in some ways. And you wrote it with Kaylee Bell, Link Phelps, and Brooke Briggs. And I'm wondering how that came about. Were you all in the same room together?
Well, Brooke Briggs is me. That's my married
Oh,
name.
I thought it might have been, but there was a credit on it that was Brooke, because initially I saw songwriting credits on your songs,
Yeah.
Brooke Briggs. I think that might be Brooke Schubert, but then on this song I had Brooke Briggs and Brooke Schubert, and I thought,
Oh, that's
maybe
weird.
that was.
Well, I am she, and I am a Gemini. I do have two personalities, but that's not this case. But it was so funny. I've been having this thought of a melody for years. That da, 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 da. I was just like, oh, so fluid, and I just couldn't think of anything beautiful to write, something that wasn't bogan, because that's all the lines that was coming out. And so I took it to song culture at QUT when Kaylee and Link and I were all in one room. And it's funny because I feel like, obviously, as we were just speaking about, experience, can make songs mean different things. And in this case, it sounds like it's a super, super heartfelt song, and it is to so many people. I've heard the most beautiful stories. It was originally about, I had actually broken one of my really, really, really expensive guitars. The headstock had broken off my guitar. This is a little insight, by the way. No one knows this. Um, my $6,000 guitar was broken. I'd opened the case one day and it was just ruined, and I was heartbroken. And I took it to my luthier, so my guitar guy, and said, "Look, is this firewood now? Like, what do I do?" And he said, "No, no, no. Sometimes this happens to these types of guitars. Sometimes you have to break first to become stronger. So we'll reset the neck." And I was like, hang on a second. This is a song. Absolutely, this is a song. So, yeah, thank you so much to him for giving me the little go there. But I took that idea to Link and Kaylee, and they were like, "Oh, absolutely." And, it felt so good writing it, and Link saying, "This is the NRL Grand Final song. This needs," I'm like, "Calm down, mate, calm down." But it's such a fun song to sing. And like I said, so many people have, connected with it on so many different levels. And I'm really, really proud of this song in all ways, to be honest.
I think Link may have a point. I can hear it as an NRL song, actually. Get,
Oh,
get onto that.
he got so excited, honestly. He's like, "This is the next Tina Turner, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Mate, no, yeah, I appreciate it. I don't know the people in the right places to be able to make that happen. So until then, we'll just play it at home."
And your guitar, how is that now?
It's fine. It's that one. It's
Okay.
actually that one right there. So it's totally fine. I don't play it out anymore. I'm petrified of taking it anywhere. So that is fine. Thank you very much.
So the luthier turned out to be correct, hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah. It
Yeah.
just needed to break, to reset, become stronger.
Okay.
Life.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Stronger is one of two songs on the album that have a reimagined version. So these are not necessarily really stripped back versions of the songs. And the other one is Burn Like Summer, but they're not the full band version that is elsewhere on the album. So I'm wondering if you recorded the reimagined versions before or after the full band ones.
After, I really wanted to get out all of the different crazy ideas that I had first with Jared, my producer, first before we started on the stripped, because the stripped versions to me come very, very, very naturally.
Mhm.
I didn't really start playing with a band, or at least a drummer, until about 15 years ago. So previous to that, it was always just me and a guitar. So, and I find also sometimes when it's stripped back away from everything, that's where you feel the most connection. And also, I love the fact that you can't hide behind that. It's just about the lyrics and the voice and that connection. And so, especially for those two songs, it was really, really important for me to do that, especially with Stronger, and we put some strings in there and got it all fancy. But it was, yeah, and it just feels different. And I really, really wanted that for everyone.
Yeah, Burn Like Summer because it's the other version.
Yeah.
It's it feels like a summery party kind of track, but then this one feels more like a yearning torch song almost.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny. I still think that song belongs on Home and Away. Like I can just imagine, season opener of 2026 singing "Burn Like Summer." It sounds great. But it's so funny because when I got the song from Kaylee and Jerry Flowers, there was the faster version, but it was acoustic. And I
Right.
just thought, oh my gosh, that would sound so great both ways. And then I realized, well, hang on, this is my album. I can do what I want. So we did both. And so I'm so pleased we did, because also it allows, for when I do acoustic performances, it allows that feeling to come through. And it's the same with Stronger. And I'm really, really glad that we leaned in and did that one, because it sounds great with a dobro as well. And I'm so, so stoked with how both of them turned out.
Yeah, they're both lovely versions because your voice is incredible. So anyone who's listening to the album can compare and contrast, I think, in a good way. But now, Brooke, you're setting yourself some homework out of this interview because we have the NRL to contact about Stronger, and then you have Home and Away to contact about Burn Like Summer.
I don't know people, but I will absolutely, give anything a go. So, look, my NRL team, the North Queensland Cowboys, are having a shocker of a year. So,
They
yeah,
need it.
I don't they ever. Holy geez, my tipping is horrific. But but I think, definitely in the future I would love to do it. But I just heard Jimmy Barnes might be doing the NRL Grand Finals, so maybe that's my in. Maybe I'll go and sing Simply the Best with him. Maybe that would be amazing.
There you go. Well, anyone who has anything to do with the NRL who might be listening or watching, please contact Brooke. It is a song we're checking. Now you mentioned Jared Adlam, and he is your producer. He's based on the Gold Coast. He's extremely popular, Jared. His name keeps coming up. But what makes him the right producer for you?
He loves as many genres as I do. I love the fact that he produces progressive metal, he produces country, he produces folk. He's got the most incredible ears. So I went to him with all of these ideas, and obviously there's a vast range of genres happening on my album, especially when it got to the After Midnight. I went to him and said, look, I love this Led Zeppelin sort of dark, sort of late night sort of feel, but I can hear this tone from this B-side Linkin Park track from back in the 2000s. Like, can we pull that? And he's like, I know exactly what you're talking about. So my brain works quite fast, and I don't feel like I've been matched with anyone so far like Jared, who works as fast as I do. Also with harmonies, I layer really quickly. All of that stuff I really love, and I'm forefront of all of that. When I go into the studio, everything is demoed to the point that it could be released. But Jared is just that finesse. He's just incredible at what he does, and his imagination is just incredible. And I'm so, so lucky to have him in my corner, and he's so patient as well, because I'm really hard on myself in the studio. So he's very, very patient, and I'm super, super lucky.
I love you pulling out a reference to a Linkin Park B-side from the 90s. As you said, human jukebox.
That's actually though, yeah, definitely. I was listening to some Fuel and some Tool earlier today, and I was like, oh, what I could use this sound? But yeah, it's definitely a thing, and but I feel like all of those things make me sound like me, so that's cool.
Now, Jared also plays on the album alongside Paul Bain, Matt Cornell, and Michael Cole. So there are some heavyweights in that studio.
It's funny though. Paul's one of my best mates, and so is Michael. Michael's dad was actually my principal in Moranbah. So he's got a Moranbah connection as well. And I've been gigging with Paul for 10 years as one of my best mates. And so um, the one that was the ring-in was Matt Cornell. I knew that I needed, like, I've known Matt for a while, but I've not worked with him. And I knew that I needed someone who would be able to cover all of the genres. And I don't believe that we have a better bass player, a more equipped bass player to cover all of these things than in the country. It doesn't matter on genre. Than Matty Cornell. He's incredible. And so I knew I was going to be in very, very good hands. And wasn't I ever? It sounds incredible. So lucky to have those guys. And obviously Jared's a Swiss Army knife of country music. He plays everything. And so I was extremely lucky there as well.
Well, yes, it's a great clean sounding album. So all the instruments have their moments. So obviously, Jared not only could play well, but produce them the way that they needed to be.
Absolutely.
And speaking of instruments, I have mentioned your voice a few times because it is this, as I said, this central focus on the album because there's so much power in it. Now, I was reading that in your early years, you were a wonderful swimmer and a hockey player, and you represented Queensland in both sports. And I was thinking, swimming, of course, is great for lung development. So I'm wondering if you think some of your vocal power came from all that swimming.
Honestly, I'd like to think so, but I really think it's a generational thing. It's in the blood. My auntie was an opera singer, and she sang at Covent Garden in the UK and lived in Chile for a really long time. And my mum was a singer as well, and my great grandmother was a singer. And so I think that gene has always been there. And it's so interesting now to see that passed on to my kids. So although I would like to think it is all of those things, which probably doesn't hurt, obviously, but it really, really, really kicks in with the genes, I think, when you don't have to think about what you're doing and it's just natural, which is all of singing these days for me, which I'm very, very lucky. It's definitely the old Atkinson blood kicking in there.
Now, I was also reading on staying on the sporting side of things that your mother was a professional golfer, but golf
Yeah.
is not mentioned amongst the sports that you have played. So, did you not inherit that?
Absolutely bloody not, Sophie. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. When I was a kid, because both my parents played, but mum was really, really good, to the point where, I'd be, going and picking up the golf balls on the practice range, and we'd be walking around the course because we didn't get buggies back then. We had to walk the course, and we lived so close to the golf course that we'd be out there nearly every afternoon. So I could think of nothing worse than playing golf. To be honest, I don't mind it. I've actually got a really good swing, but it's not my thing. I would rather be playing beer pong or something like that. Uh, that's good hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
But no golf.
golf.
Can you play?
I play tennis, and there is a correlation
Right.
between golf and a lot of professional tennis players when they retire. Well, they play golf when they can, but then a lot of them go on to play a lot of golf if they retire from if and when they retire from tennis. So yeah, I can't see myself doing golf. I'm much more I like a harder whack and a more regular whack that comes from tennis.
Right. It's that gets me. It takes up so long, and no, we're not doing that. I will play tennis with you, but we will not be doing golf.
Well, there you go. Sounds good, but still, and I have actually like still on the sporting front because I was when I was reading about your early sporting life and because I've interviewed you before, I knew about your early musical life, but I do also think that the discipline required in sports is something that's useful in music because it's that understanding that you have to work and keep working on stuff that can seem boring in order to get to that moment of competing or performing.
Yeah, you know what is also a really big thing, a really big part of it, I should say, is where I grew up and the time that I grew up. there was a lot of, like Kathy Freeman grew up in my town. We had a whole heap of NRL players from my hometown. And so the thing about that time is we didn't have the internet because it was before that. But also we didn't have the constant barrage of influences. We had, a CD that we had bought that we would listen to over and over, which mine was, John Farnham Romeo's Heart and Santana Supernatural and Lee Kernaghan's 1959. They were my go-tos. And so I think it really helped the fact that I could just develop and do things in my own time, that everything turned out the way it did. Also, I was so great at avoiding homework, Sophie, that I figured out that if I was writing songs in science, I wouldn't get in trouble. And if I was writing songs during homework, I also wouldn't get in trouble. So that was sort of my out. And it's so funny because now I see it in my youngest child, but I'm on to him. So it's definitely a balance, but I really do think it had a lot to do with the time and place.
But see, you were actually doing homework. You were working on songs, and given your career now, that was obviously the better homework for you to do.
Absolutely. I think just not having the noise just really helps. So, yeah, I will take that. Thank you very much. And I will pass that on to my parents. Thank you, Sophie.
Well, it's schoolwork's not for everyone. So schooling is not for everyone.
Not, especially the creatives. It's really not. We think outside the box and differently, but that's what makes this world so interesting, right? It's all the creatives.
Absolutely. Now, you are still performing regularly at certain venues, because I was looking at your upcoming gigs and you play quite a lot at Honky Tonks and Chattahoochees, all in the Valley, in Brisbane, the two valleys. So I think the Valley, from what I understand, the Valley's developed quite a good country music scene.
Oh, it has, and tonight I'm heading out to Big Sound after this. And so it's really becoming the music mecca, especially the country music mecca of Australia. I feel like at one point it was Central Coast, but so many people have moved up here post-COVID, and also driving up house prices. Thank you very much. But it's really, really an exciting time to be here. I'm really thankful to be working as much as I am, because I think I'm with my band every weekend, and we are so well versed now, and it's really given me that bit more experience, working with the guys and holding that crowd, because that Valley crowd is different to more of our crowd. Like these people, are coming in, they've never heard of me before, so I have to work 10 times as hard to try and get everyone in the palm of my hand, which, it's so much fun when they all jump in,
Yeah.
But it's actually been a really, really great learning curve. And, the muster on the weekend was, a really good way to test all of that stuff. And it was just insane. So, I'm very lucky for those gigs. And, we're also building, a fan base by doing these gigs, which is super important at the moment.
Yeah, and you may well also have some fans in other parts of Queensland, because you are going to tour there as well. I was looking, there are quite a few dates coming up, obviously in support of the album. So how did you pick your towns, given that you grew up in Queensland?
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting. I really jump on my socials and ask.
All right.
There's no point guessing because it's too expensive to tour with guessing. There's no guesstimations at all. And it's interesting because I really love to do the acoustic show, because it's a good way to connect. It's that same thing. It's the same reason why I put the reimagined versions of my songs on the album. It's such a great way to connect, and it's like actually a really nice escape sometimes too for everyone. Leave your life at the door and come in and relax. So yeah, I just ask everyone, where would you like to see me? And so yeah, we've got a whole heap of dates and that on the road all of October, and now we're starting to plan next year, which is crazy, and I'm so excited. Hopefully we'll get some more band gigs in there as well. But yeah, at the moment it's acoustic, and I'm so thankful that I can actually do that. So it's very handy these days.
Well, people can go to your website to find your gigs, and if they're in Brisbane, obviously can book a date with you regularly. I'm going to leave it there for now, Brooke, because you have a gig to go to. So thank you very much for your time. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. Great to talk to you again, and I'll yeah, see you up here soon, hopefully.